Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you guys for joining on tonight. It is your girl, Prophetess Latanya Smiley, and I am here on tonight introducing She Wore My Underwear. I need for you guys to get your mama, your auntie, your cousin, your sisters, any women that you know that struggle with getting along. This conversation is going to be amazing, and you guys are going to be blessed by it. And so, She Wore My Underwear is something that God gave me probably, I'm going to say back in 2019. And God just brought it back to my remembrance and told me to pick it back up again. Why can't women get along? Why are women so catty with each other? Why are women divided that they cannot collaborate, right? Because this is the season of collaboration, and this is the season where we're called to build things together. There are certain things that God has ordained you to work with other women, and we have to be able to do that. There's so much division in the families, mothers and daughters, sisters and cousins, whatever. But this is why we cannot get along. And so, you guys, we are going to have this conversation. And again, tonight is just the introduction of She Wore My Underwear and all. I'm just going to give you a little bit of what God gave me concerning the reason why women cannot get along. So it's not what is on the outside. On the outside, we look as if we have it all together, hair good, makeup good, or whatever. But when it comes to genuinely being happy for one another, when it comes to genuinely being able to have healthy friendships, and all of that stuff, as women, we fall short. Mothers jealous of daughters, daughters jealous of sisters, all of that thing. Everything is a competition. And so when God began to deal with me about this, right, it was a situation. He was dealing with me about mother and daughter relationships. Why is there so much division in mother and daughters, right? Why do mother and daughters fight so much, or they are so divided? When we look at it, more of them are more divided than anything, right? A lot of us have gone through issues with our mothers, and God began to deal with me about that component. And when he began to deal with me, he showed me, as a matter of fact, that it's not it's that we share each other's underwear, right? And I know you guys like, what? But we share each other emotional and mental garments, and that's why we find it hard to get along. That's why we struggle. If you were to look at your mom, if you were to look at the woman that you don't, I don't understand why we always falling out, or I don't understand why she is this way, or whatever. When we look at even some of our daughters, right, we like, why are they like that, right? And we have to understand that it is the mental and emotional garments, our undergarments that we wear, that is causing division. It is not what is on the outside. It is not the things that we think it is. It is something that attaches us, and that is the emotional and the mental, and the mental undergarment. So let's look at it. Let's look at the fact that our undergarments, when I'm talking about the undergarments, again, the emotional and mental things that we wear, the things that you don't see, what lies beneath. And when we're talking about what lies beneath, we're talking about um our rejection. We're talking about the scarring from childhood trauma, molestation. We're talking about the residue of rape, the residue of abandonment, the residue of going through domestic violence, the residue of those things. We're talking about, we wear that, the residue of the hurt from infidelity, the residue of a broken heart, and the list goes on and on. You can actually write down what it is that is separating you, because there is something that makes us more alike than we are separated. But because we try to conceal it so much, it ends up that we just separate from each other, or we have friction between us because we do not deal with the mental and emotional stuff, so it spills over. When I think about me and my mom, I'm like, I'm more like her than I'm not. I fight so hard to not be like her. But when me and her both deal with our mental and emotional undergarments, we'll first find that we have the same thing, right? We both have gone through childhood trauma. We both felt rejected. We both went through infidelity, all of those things. And so because I'm more like her than I'm not, I fight so much to not be like her, and it causes friction. And so when we look at why we can't get along, it's something that the enemy has put, that he wants us to stay separated. We can't pray together. We can't build together. We can't sit together. And y'all know my logo is we can sit. You can sit with us. Sis, you can sit with us. But not until we deal with the fact that she wore my underwear. That means that everything that I try to avoid, we have to face it. We have to confront it. And so even when God gave me this, he told me to watch the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. This is not a movie that I would normally watch, but he gave me this movie. And in this movie, it was one pair of jeans, right? But this pair of jeans fit every woman that was in their group. I believe it was 4 of them. I haven't watched it in years, but it was 4 women, and this pair of jeans fit all of them. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter our status. We be so busy trying to, I'm gonna get a better job than her. I'm gonna be more educated than her. I'm gonna have a better marriage than her. I'm gonna do all of these things. But the bottom line is, until we deal with our emotional and until we deal with our mental undergarments, there is always going to be division between women. We are always going to find something in another woman that you see that reminds you of you. And so when we see things that remind us of an old season or something, of course it gets on our nerve, because like, why can't she heal from that? Why is she like that? But when we understand how the enemy works hard to keep us divided, then we will understand the seriousness of dealing with the underwear, dealing with what we wear underneath. And so undergarments are something that we put on, right? You wear whatever your undergarments is, Victoria's Secret and all of that stuff, right? But there are some things that you are carrying. There are some undergarments that when I speak to you or when I interact with you, it reminds me of something about myself. It reminds me of something. And based on where I am in my process, based on where I am in my healing, it determines on how me and you interact. It's going to be a part where you may be you may still be in your trauma to where maybe your undergarments was taken off as a little girl, right? And that, you know, you found yourself in molestation at a young age, right? And so there were some things that happened that maybe you locked away, but I dealt with mine, right? And so you're acting out a certain way, and it's keeping us from being able to love one another, because you're angry or I'm angry or vice versa. But because of that, I identify with the fact that, oh my God, she's not a mean person. She has this undergarment. She's still wearing this undergarment of pain. She's still wearing this undergarment of brokenness. She's still wearing this undergarment of having not been able to deal with what she has gone through. She's still carrying this undergarment of whatever it is, residue of maybe your husband walked out or whatever it is. But until we deal with the undergarment, we find ourselves in a place of division. Because you know how we used to say, you act like your mess don't stink. It does. It does. So there's a scent on you. There's a scent that's coming from you not changing your undergarments. The same way in the physical. When you don't change your undergarments, they have an odor, right? And so the undergarments that we wear, the emotional and the physical garments, the emotional and the mental garment that we are wearing, it has a scent. And that scent repels. It does not attract other women to us. It repels, and it causes division. And I need us to deal with that. God needs us to deal with that. And so we have to be able to deal with these emotional issues that we have so that we are able to build together. The women's ministry is falling apart in the churches because of the dirty undergarments, which is, again, the mental stuff that we have not dealt with. the thing that has an odor, the things that holding us back, the things that are causing confusion and that we refuse to deal with. That odor is coming from underneath the clothes. You can have on all of the makeup and all of the perfume that you want to put on, but if you do not deal with your undergarments, if you don't, and listen, how important is it to wear the right undergarments under your outfit? Let's just look at it like that, right? It doesn't make sense to be educated, to go to the nations and all of that, and have on dirty undergarments, right? When we look at that, we understand that there is something that God needs to clean up in us so that we are able to be effective together. This is not a time for you to think I don't need nobody and that I'm gonna sit on this island by myself. No, tower women build high and they build wide, right? We got territory to take individually and collectively. But if we don't deal with these undergarments, we are going to find ourselves in a bad way. We are going to find ourselves not being able to do the things that God has called us to do because He didn't call you to do it by yourself, right? And so some of us, and I'm going to say, yeah, because this was a season in my life where I would cut people off for less than, it didn't really matter. If I'm sick of you, I'm sick of you, not understanding that I need you. Hezekiah, may I need you to survive. There are certain areas in my life, certain things that God has given me to do it is connected to another woman, and the enemy does not want us to be able to heal and get along. He wants you to stay nice, nasty. We're good at doing that and faking it. As soon as she walk away, or as soon as she's coming in your direction, you're rolling your eyes and all of that stuff because you don't understand her undergarments. You don't understand her mental and emotional undergarments that she's wearing underneath that pretty dress, underneath that hair that's laid, underneath the eyelashes and all of that. And when we do not understand, we're going to fall short every time, right? Look at your grandma. Your grandma may have had some mental and emotional scarring that made her the way that she was, and that's why maybe she was nice and maybe she wasn't, right? Maybe your sister has some emotional and some mental undergarments that you don't know about. You don't know that your sister took the molestation so that you did not get molested, right? You don't know. It's so much going on between women, right? But now God is like, I need for us to deal with it. I need for us to deal with these undergarments. No longer is it okay for you to be dressed and slayed, but your undergarments are dirty and it's giving you an odor. It's giving you this odor that is keeping who you need to work with away, or your attitude. Our attitudes are based on what? Why can I not stand her? What is it that I see in her that is bothering me? And because I am offended, I have to look and see what's off in me, right? For instance, sometimes my healing, it irritates people who have not come out of childhood trauma. It irritates them because they like, why is she so strong? Or how did she get like that, right? And she's just moving on as if nothing ever happened. Well, that's because I've changed my undergarment. I've changed that bitterness. I've changed that brokenness. And we have to get to that place where we are able to shift. We have to get to that place where we are able to understand that what is underneath, it starts oozing out, right? Whatever's underneath. If you have an infection, right? If you have an infection, if you have something going on underneath the skin, it's going to begin to come through your pores, right? Same thing with trauma. When we open up our mouths, we hear, it says out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? And so what we say, how we say it, all of that is a reflection of my undergarments. You ever heard somebody say, don't, why you have your panties in a bunch and all of that stuff? That is because the wrong undergarment. Our underlying undergarment should be love, right? We should be able to approach one another in love. We are commanded to love one another, right? And we cannot because we have on the wrong undergarment. So ask yourself today, how many times today, just today alone, that you may have had to check yourself because maybe you were short with somebody at work, you were short with somebody in the grocery store, the phone rings and it's maybe your family member, you like, what, whatever, or how many times have you been short with your husband or your mate because of your undergarments, right? Your emotional state, those things that we flow out of. Women are emotional. We flow out of our emotions. So whatever we carry, it does not go away. We have to deal with it. We have to deal with it. And so because I might be loud with my trauma and you quiet with yours, right? It doesn't make me a bad person. It makes me want to be able to express something that's irritating you, because I'm like, why is you telling our secret? Why is you telling our secret? Because I no longer want to be in bondage. If you choose to stay in bondage, I no longer want to be in bondage. So I need to be able to exhibit what it is that I'm going through in my way, and you need to be able to do yours. And until women are able to understand that I am my sister's secret, that thing that you hate about me, that thing that you hate about me, or that thing that I hate about you, it is the very thing that you need to talk about, right? If there's something about me that you do not like, most likely it's because it is something that you don't want to deal with. I don't want to talk about sexual trauma. I don't want to talk about the infidelity. I'm still angry. And I don't even know how you got to that part or how you forgave your abuser and all of that stuff. And because I'm not there yet, I have a scent on me. I have a scent that doesn't smell good. I have a scent of bitterness, which definitely stinks, right? And we need to be able to deal with it. And so in dealing with our undergarments, we come together. Sis, how can I help you? What do we need to talk about? What do we need to address, right? And now we know when we was growing up and we was going to the club and all of that, we all came to one house and we would all empty out our bags and we would put our stuff on the bed. And I'm aware of this because we was all little. We were probably was size 2s and 5s, something that we'll probably never see again. And we would wear each other's clothes, but we knew that we did not wear each other's underwear and we did not exchange each other's bras in the physical. But those things, one thing that my mother would always tell me is birds of a feather flock together, right? And it's trauma bonding, right? We all come together because we all have gone through something. And it's like, as long as one don't talk about it, we don't talk about it. But when one eagle wants to get out the nest and heal, then it's a problem. We are separated, or I don't mess with her because she got her stuff together or whatever. I don't mess with her because I was thinking that we're going to stay broken all of our life, and we have decided that we're not going to be broken. We're going to deal with the things that have been dealing with us for years, and we're going to move on. And so when we get that mindset, that's when we understand that we are able to grow, for one thing, and we are able to build. And so even as you're listening to me tonight, I want you to think of those undergarments that you wear. I want you to write those things down that have been holding you back, those things that have been hindering you. I know when I was back before God healed me, and glory be to God for that. I was something. I was nasty. I had an attitude all the time. I would cuss you out. I knew how to put that word play together in just the right way. Why? Because I wanted you to feel just as miserable as I did. And so it did not matter who thought I was pretty. It did not matter all of that, because my undergarment canceled that out. You ever have on the right outfit in the wrong underwear, the wrong panties? Right? And you pulling at it all day. The bra done got too tight because your back big, whatever, and you're pulling all day. Same thing with your emotional bondage. Same thing with your mental bondage. That thing that you refuse to deal with. It is keeping you from building what God has given you to build. And I need for us to deal with that as women. No longer will we leave our sisters, our mothers, our family, the women in our family behind, right? Because we can't deal, right? Even the ones that battle with homosexuality, what is her undergarment? What undergarment that she is wearing that is making her look? So we're really talking about the spirit. the underlying spirit under that. A lot of it is Jezebel, because Jezebel is usually where rebellion is, and we know that rejection and rebellion, they are coupling spirits. When you got one, you usually got the other. Yes, we hate to talk about jazzy jazz, but we have to be real in order to heal. You have to be able to be real to be able to heal from these undergarments. And so we're going to be today. I just wanted to just pop on and really just introduce this project and understand that it's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time for us to come together instead of apart. It's time for us to grow up. It's time for us to grow up spiritually so that we are able to heal emotionally and mentally so that we can come out of the state of wearing these undergarments. And so let's look at one of the undergarments that is a big thing, because rejection is a big thing. That undergarment of rejection, it'll have you, and rejection is like one size fits all. It's not like, oh, it's one size fits all. Rejection is like one of the most big things that women deal with. We're rejected by our mothers, right? We're rejected sometimes by our fathers. That's why we have daddy issues. We're rejected by our husbands at times. We're rejected because maybe you are light skin or dark skin. We're rejected because the color of our skin. We're rejected because the texture of our hair. We're rejected for so many reasons, right? And especially if you have suffered any kind of trauma. That now a lot of this comes in vitro, even before your mother pushed you out. Maybe she wanted a boy and you were the girl. That is rejection that has set in even in the womb, and it keeps us from doing. So that undergarment is something that will follow you. It's like constantly we have to be able to give that boo-boo, I call it our boo-boos. We have to constantly give that to God so that God can heal. That undergarment of rejection is something that, listen, sometimes it gets tight and you steady pulling at it because you fighting to fit in, you fighting for attention, you're fighting for all these different things. Rejection will make you do something strange. You'll find yourself in relationships, bad relationships, because you feel rejected. You find yourself in rebellion. I'm going to do this just to upset my mom, upset my parents. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in rejection. I am going to do whatever it can because I'm rejected and I feel the need to be wanted. Rejection is the underlying, one of the underlying spirits when it comes to the spirit of suicide. And so that is a big undergarment that we must deal with. That is a big piece of that is so many women wear rejection underneath their pretty dresses and their nice shapes. They have on that undergarment of rejection. And so when we begin to look at that undergarment alone is something. You ever put on a body shaper you ever had on a girdle? That thing will hold you like a girdle, and you'll find yourself unable to have healthy relationships. You'll find yourself unable to be able to function healthily because rejection acts out. Rejection is loud. It may seem like you're silent, but rejection will make the person that's even an introvert act out in some kind of way. And you'll be like, who was that person? When we look at body shapers, right? Everybody is wearing a fire, right? Everybody got on a body shaper. That is how our emotional undergarments are shaping us. It shapes us into how we can be used by God. It shapes us into what kind of wife we're going to be, what kind of mother we're going to be, what kind of daughter we are. It shapes us to what kind of sister we are, and it definitely shapes you into what you are going to build in this hour. I don't care how much vision you got, and you're going to do this business, and you're going to graduate, and you're going to do all these things based on the emotions and the mental status that is shaping you. It determines on how it's going to turn out. It will not flow, right? What good is it having a business if I'm shaped in rejection? That's not going to work. I'm going to be nasty. I'm going to have poor customer service. And, it's like, who wants to buy from that? Who wants to deal with that? A lot of you want husbands, right? What is shaping you in this hour? It matters. What is shaping you? What is your undergarment that you're wearing? Are you ready to be a wife? Because that undergarment that you have on, especially if it is rejection, you're not ready. Why? Because you think that he is going to fix you. We get into these relationships thinking people are going to to fix us. And these things that I'm talking about tonight, they are issues that we have to give to God, that God is going to be able to heal those deeply rooted trauma, deeply rooted trauma that we have been carrying, that we have been picking up. And you're like, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna make new friends. Nope, you're gonna still have the same outcome with the friends that you broke up with last week. That's why you find now that we have this thing called cancel culture, right? Where I don't mess with her like that. And I ain't even gonna let her know I don't mess with her like that. And I really don't have a reason except for I got on this underwear. I got on her underwear or whatever, and I don't want to deal with her. And so I hope that this is making sense to you all. I hope that you guys are getting the seriousness of healing. We got to heal so we can build. We got to be able to heal so we could collaborate. We no longer will we I just want to sit with you so I can get what's on your life. I just want to sit with you so I can manipulate you. I just want to sit with you. No, we need to deal with these things that are on our life that is hindering us, that is stopping us from doing some of the great movements of God. How can we see revival if everybody's trying to do their own thing? That doesn't even make sense. How can I call you sis and I can't stand you? I can't stand you because either your undergarments is thinking or mine or both. And it's just a foul scent coming off of us. And so I want us to look at this in depth. I want us to be able to look at this and I want us to understand it. You know, back before we had to learn how to keep ourselves clean, right? We had to learn how to put deodorant on. We had to learn that we are supposed to change our panties every day. We had to learn that, oh my God, once we got our ministrations, right, there were certain things that we had to do to learn how to stay clean. Same thing in the spirit realm. We must be able to look at our undergarments and make sure that we are wearing the right undergarment, that we are wearing godly undergarments, right? That we have on the right thing, and that it is oozing out of us, right? That we have on the right thing. We don't need to have on a colorful bra up underneath our white that we have on. We know, we have to go through those things, or you got to wear a slip or whatever those things, right? Same thing with our emotions and our mental state, that we must be able to check ourselves. We must be able to deal with these undergarments of infidelity. My God, on today, it seems like everybody is going through a divorce for one reason or another, right? And that thing, as women, it breaks us so much. It changes us for some of those. We can think that we're holding it together, but we have all of this that is on us, right? Even undergarments of what our children's fathers put us through, undergarments of being abused by our parents, undergarments of all of those things, and the weight of that thing is coming out through our pores. Now we're at our greatest hour to come together, right? We should be doing conferences together. We should be doing all of these things together, worshiping. We can't even worship in the same place. Look at her. Look, she doing too much or whatever. What undergarment is that? What do you see on her, or what do you see in you? But at the end of the day, when we look at it and we actually have a conversation about these things, when we unmute about these things, you'd be like, my God, today, she is more like me than not. She is more like me than not. She wear rejection just like I wear rejection. How many of us got the same undergarments from Victoria's Secret? How many times you go to your friend house and you like, I got that same bra. I got that same thing with our emotional bondage. I got that same thing. I got that same hurt from heartbreak. I got that same hurt from infidelity. I got that same hurt that came from being molested. I got that same hurt. And until we are able to come together and remove the gag order and stop looking at each other as if I'm better than you, you're better than me, we are going to go through these things. And we must understand that we have to look at what lies beneath. And so now this is the time where God is saying, listen, I need for y'all to come together, and I need for y'all to deal with the real stuff. We don't got time to chop it up over things that don't matter. It don't make sense for us to even make the vision, because somewhere down the line it's going to fall apart if we don't deal with what the issue is. We don't deal with what lies underneath. We don't deal with the stuff that I'm going to take this to my grave. Why? Because your silence is not strong. Your silence is holding me back from healing. Maybe you have something, because there is another woman that has something that I need to heal. She has that component that I need, right? And so until we're able to come together, we are going to stay divided until we're able to look at, oh my God, that's the same thing that I have. I recognize that. I recognize that tone. I know what that is. I know what that is. That's brokenness. I know what that is. That's bitterness. I wore that before, or whatever. Some just got some raggedy, y'all got y'all the most raggediest underwear, right? We always have that one pair that it takes us a while to throw it away because it's comfortable in the physical. We have that pair of underwear that's just comfortable in the physical. And it's the same thing. It has to be thrown away. It has to be rooted up. It has to be ripped up. Somebody got to have the courage to be like, I'm getting rid of this. Enough is enough. It's holy. It has no more elasticity in it. It has no more stretch. It done stretched as far as it could stretch. And we have to be able to understand that I'm getting rid of this today. I'm getting rid of this today. And so, listen, I want you guys to just ponder what I talked about tonight. I want you guys to just take it in and be like, wow, I never realized that I have so much smelly underwear, smelly undergarments that I am just putting on. You ever sat next to somebody and they had an odor and you knew that it was coming from even from underneath? You ever been and it made your eyes blink? Maybe it smelled like onions, whatever it was. Same thing with our emotional stuff. Same thing with our mental stuff, and we have to do better as women. And so I come on here to tell you that we need each other. We need each other, and we need to be able to have these conversations in maturity and understand that I'm no better than you. I'm no better than you. I might be in a different place than you when it comes to what lies beneath, but I'm still no better than you. It doesn't matter. At one time, I was there, and so I know what it takes to get that scent off. I know what it takes to come out of that underwear. I know what it takes to throw it away. I know what it takes when the bra done stretched too quick and it has to be thrown away, or the body shaper no longer fits, and either you got to go up a size or you got to go down a size. I understand that, and when we begin to understand that it's not what's on the outside. You can see all of this and you can see all the shape that you want, but until we as women of God come together and deal with our underlying things, those things, the husbands are going to continue to, and I'm not saying all of it is because of us, but I'm saying that when we begin to heal, when we begin to come together and deal with these underlying things, we will be made whole. A lot of us have an issue of blood, right? Issue of blood in the physical. Maybe you got that thing in your arm that just makes you bleed out, right? That Nepalon or whatever. I can't even remember what, or whatever birth control you're taking, and it makes you bleed in a certain way. Same thing. We got things that we are carrying in our heart that are making us bleed out. And we have to be able to deal with those things. We have to bring those things to the forefront so that we are able to get along. No more division in the body of Christ amongst women. Amongst women. I'm not coming over there because I don't even like the way she pray. She pray like that. She do this, she do that. It's always an issue with the woman sitting next to you. She may have rode in the car with you and you call her sis. But we have to be honest about our undergarments and what lies beneath. We have to. And if we don't do it, we are never going to see how great things are when we come together. We're never going to be able to understand what it looks like to come together in unity when we're all on one accord, when we have that upper room experience because the women have come together and are absolutely recognizing I'm not here to be catty, sis. I'm here to really show you this was me right here. And you can really sit with us and really mean it, because now at this point I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to deal with that thing that has been killing me slowly. I'm going to deal with that thing that is keeping me from being loved. I'm going to deal with that thing that has had me feeling rejected, that thing that has in the book of Ezekiel, when it talks about being salted and nobody has swallowed you, and being on the side of the road, drowning in your own blood, right? That thing that's keeping me isolated. Because as long as the enemy can keep us isolated, and as long as I'm sitting over here trying to build by myself, it takes me more time to build by myself than if I would get alongside other women and deal with my emotional stuff, and so that we can move on. And so we're not going to skip on over this. We're actually going to continue to plow right here. We're going to plow right here in this spot of dealing with the underwear that we refuse to deal with. We're actually going to stay right here, and for once, we're going to create an atmosphere where we are able to come out of those undergarments that are hindering us, those undergarments that have been uncomfortable for years, those undergarments that have been stopping us from building, from collaborating, those undergarments that have that we have outgrown. Really, we have outgrown. It's a finished work in God. You have to begin to see yourself healed on the other side and not stuck in your trauma, not stuck in that shaper, that thing that has shaped you. What has shaped you? Is that your authentic shape, or what has shaped you? What have you allowed to shape you? To shape you. I know that for certain events they put a corset on you, and that thing just wraps you up tight, like in a bow, right? It wraps you up. So what is shaping you in this hour? We can no longer be shaped in trauma. We can no longer be shaped in those things that hurt us. We can no longer wear those things, those underlying things that stop us from being who God called us to be, completely lovable, smiling authentically, not smiling and then when she walk away, to be like, or whatever. So those is the things that this project will deal with, especially in mothers and daughters. Woo! Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh my God! I remember growing up, and my grandmama would put sometimes it's like, your mama sent you, she sent you that for church or whatever, and she would put her undergarments, put her slip on me, and all of that stuff. Might put her panties on me or whatever. You want to sleep in this tonight or whatever, and it just, even when God was dealing with me about it, made me cringe. Like, who does that, right? But we have to understand it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You can hang around with somebody and you can find yourself. You might not have had that undergarment at first, but you're going to be, at some point, you're going to end up carrying their emotional and their mental trauma if we don't heal, especially from our mothers. I don't care. Y'all can fight me on this, but I know that there are some things that cross the placenta, not just nutrients, but sometimes the emotions, sometimes those behaviors that our mothers had as they carried us, sometimes that stuff come right across, especially rejection. And so, listen, I don't know about y'all, but I could hold up a big sign right here and somebody would be able to identify every underlying thing that I hold up. Somebody would be able to identify with it. Oh, I battled with that. I wore that at one time. Or I have, been like, I got that same dress. Oh my God, I got that same thing. Same thing with our emotions. That's why we can't stand each other. That's why we act as if, I don't need nobody and I don't need nothing. And God is not pleased with that among women. And so we're going to deal with it in the upcoming weeks so that we can grow and that we can understand, sis, I need you. I need you. I need you to heal. I need you. You got something that I need, because we're all interconnected. We're not separated. We're more interconnected than we are dependent. I'm not dependent. I'm independent. I mean, I'm not independent. I am dependent on you to walk with me, to get some things done. That's why we're burning out. That's why we are giving up. That's why we are throwing in the towel. Mothers are walking away from their children. All of these things because we refuse to deal with our underwear. We refuse to deal with our mental and emotional undergarments that we wear. And so I hope that you guys have taken something away from this, because it weighed so heavy on me. You know that this is what it is. When I went into prayer and I asked God, no, what is it between women? Why, why, why? That you that the hurt I'm talking about, like, it's almost like the spirit of Judas, like we're so uncomfortable with each other. And what is it? And so listen, I just wanted to come on and share that with you guys on tonight. And I want you to look inside yourself, and I want you to say, wow, I do have dirty undergarments. I do have dirty underwear. And I might have got it from my sister. I might have got it from my mother. I don't know where I got it from, but I'm taking it off on tonight. I'm taking it off, and I'm dealing with the dirty things that lie beneath. I'm dealing with that stuff that lies beneath. And I'm going to make sure that I'm able to collaborate with other women, build with other women, be with other women, and not be in competition, but be able to be authentic. I mean to love each other authentically and organically, because we have changed our undergarments. And so I hope that you guys was blessed on tonight as I wrap it up. And so again, this is your girl, Prophetess Latanya, and I am signing off on tonight. And you guys have an amazing night on purpose. Feedback, so I'm trying.